My name is Bruce, and I've been attending Boulder Mountain for the last year and a half. From a small age, we went to a Baptist church in the Central Valley in California. So I'm familiar with the church, but I didn't necessarily understand who Jesus was and uh, wasn't sure what that meant for me in my life. I left home on not so good circumstances and became homeless for a small period of time where I was kind of bouncing around. And I had accepted a job at a Christian camp. I was able to grow with men and women of God and kind of slowly start to understand more what it was to walk with Christ. I ended up staying there for 10 years. But the dynamics at the ministry started to change. And so my job was coming to a conclusion. I stepped away from the church pretty much at that point, just by myself, not in a church at all, not in a community. I struggled with alcoholism, and it was in my family. My parents drank heavily, so it was natural curiosity for me. And so I wallowed in the mire, and slowly I had people come back and pick me up. God was just there again in just in little ways. Not too much longer after that, I want to say about 2-3 years, that I found my wife, my soulmate, Joanne. A year after we were married, we had our daughter, Brianna. And so alcoholism still was playing a role. I still battled it, and probably what makes it even harder was my wife is a substance abuse counselor. My relationship with my wife, I was missing out on the blessings that God had for me. My wife said, "You know what, Bruce? You need community or you need counseling, one or the other." And my daughter, one of her peers that was coming here, invited her as well as her boyfriend to come to Boulder Mountain. So they started to come. It was at that point when things were kind of coming to a head with my wife and I as far as my alcoholism. And so I said, okay, I guess we better start making some changes. And so my wife and I started to come, and pretty soon it was my wife and I and my daughter. I started going to the small group in addition to church, 6:30 every Tuesday. I'd have to change my shirt because it was just soaked every time I came back. It was just so uncomfortable for me to sit with a bunch of guys being real. But it was different than any other group that I'd ever been with. I'm at the office with my wife, at our counseling practice. And I said, you know what? I want to get baptized. I was baptized as a kid, but I was just going through the motions, with my family. Yes, I publicly confessed my sin to a small group of guys, but I want to publicly confess this to the church. I want to be done with this sin. I don't want it to have hold over me. It was October 29th of 2023, and it was the greatest day of my life. And now I count down my days as to the rest of my life. I never wish to have that drink. And in doing so, I've invested heavily in the church and the body, and I've got an accountability group. I would say that after a season of 20 to 30 years of a lot of ups and downs, a lot of it was because I just didn't invest in the relationship on a deeper level. I don't want to live lukewarm. I don't want to be in complacency. And that's where I've been for so long. Because you know what? I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to that bottle. God has blessed me in so many ways with community and the church and my family. I couldn't be more thankful in that.